Hello everyone, and welcome to this tutorial. This is the splatter effects tutorial for the body cam. It's a free update that I went ahead and added to the body cam effects. If you have this application or plugin, whatever you want to call it, it's on the Epic Marketplace right now. There's a link in the description. It's a pretty cool component, really easy to set up. I showed a tutorial way back. I'm going to show another tutorial, I guess, right now. The original tutorial just showed like, hey, you do this and you play with some drop downs, you got the body cam effect, and there's like, all these little parameters where you could do a warp, no warp, and then there's all of these options, drunk effects, tune shaders, all this stuff, and you select what you want and your character's camera goes by that, and you could bind them to numbers as well. Like if you wanted like night vision, you could bind it to like 1 and toggle night vision. 2 would be like thermal vision, and 3. So I could walk around and show that. This is all old recap. I'm going to get into the splatter in like just a second, but I guess I'm just warming up and rambling, so forgive me. But yeah, like look at that. A very nice little setup, very easy to plug in. As you can see, it's just one line of code, or one chunk, 3 plugins. But today I wanted to show you guys the splatter effect. Someone recommended that I add dirt and water and blood effects to these cameras that could be overlaid, and I was like, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. One problem is that it can't be a like permanent shader or a shader that you just toggle on and toggle off. There's a lot more that goes with liquids. You probably want a nice fade in and fade out, so there's a bit more to it, which is why I'm making this tutorial video. So first off, this is all you need to set it up for just the basics, but you could get a lot more deeper with this. Now inside the body cam component, you could drag off of it and you could do apply splatter just like I did before, and there's a drop down and you could apply dirt, blood, or water by default. And if you want, you could also do whatever other splatter types there are. Maybe you don't want red blood, maybe you're playing an alien game and they have blue blood. You might want to change that. And that's valid, and I'm going to show you guys how you could do that. So firstly, this is the component, and it doesn't have to be on an event damage. I'm doing event damage because usually when you take damage, you see blood. So I feel like this makes sense on a game design perspective. But maybe you jump into the water pool, you're not going to take damage to see water effects, right? But I'll show it real quick live. So here's a splatter effect, and there we go. It kind of hits the screen. Maybe I'll full screen for you guys so it's easier to see. Yeah, you can notice that it's randomized. This wasn't the exact same texture. It kind of fades in, fades. Oh, I guess that one was a duplicate. Didn't look the same as last one. Yeah, there we go, different splatter. So it's kind of randomized. It's unique, and it has this this drop down effect. I'm not too sure if you noticed. Maybe I'll zoom in editing, but these blurbs, they kind of move and they gravitate downwards. And I'm going to show you guys how to set it up and get it all customized. I already showed you how to set it up if you just want blood effects. This is all you need. You're end of tutorial. See you guys next time. Leave a like. But let's say you wanted more, because that's valid. Of course, you could drag this off onto any other event, like let's say you're swimming, and after you're done getting out of the swim state, maybe you want to apply the water effect, or I guess I'm going to Control Z, I'm going to undo that. But you want to apply the water effect over the camera, or the dirt effect, maybe if you're laying down on that dirt material for long, then you could kind of go about that setup. But let's say you wanted to create your own effect. So these are the effects. This is the post-processing materials, these 3 right here, and these are the instances. Now honestly, you could probably just duplicate an instance. That would be fine and dandy. Let's say I want to take blood, and aliens are going to have blue blood, as I mentioned. Well, there's all these parameters here, and I could just select something like color here, and I could just drag this off, and I can make this like a deeper blue. Or the Master Chief, I guess. Don't get me copyrighted. I don't think that will be. This is a case. This is a YouTube video. This is unprofessional. We're shooting the Covenant. We're shooting elites. So now we got a blue blood effect that could hit our screens. You know, it's cool. And it really is that simple. And you could change, let's say, downward flow. We want this to be a bit faster. Maybe we make it like 0.5, and that's gonna speed up the gravity. So now we're kind of, I guess, getting into like an almost, yeah, you'll notice that it really drips down. So it's almost like a rain effect. Again, you probably wouldn't use a dark blue if you're doing a rain effect. This would be more like transparent. You would probably lower the opacity, do something like that, and that would be what the rain effect essentially is. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna reset that color. I'm gonna reset that because I don't want to package this with the wrong parameters for you guys. But you know, you could play around with this. So downward flow, gravitation, drop darkness is just how like darker the color can be. We can make it darker than it originally is there. Drop intensity is the amount of drops. Tiling is how many could appear on the screen. The vignette, I think that's how it's pronounced, has a density and radius. Essentially, this is applied to the middle of the screen, and that way there's no blood dots that happen directly on the middle of the screen. This is because you're likely going to have a crosshair and you don't want things to obscure it. So these are friendly in game design, but if you wanted to, you could just set that to 0, and all of a sudden you could get, like, you know, blood anywhere. There's no rules now. Or you could make it a larger number, and maybe you only ever want blood on the corners of your screen, and you want less obscured, and that's also totally fine. I have it kind of just covering everything right now except for the center, but you know, play with that as you will. That's pretty much that. These are the effects. If you wanted to make, let's say your game required an additional effect. We have 3 effects. We have, you know, blood, dirt, and water. But let's say you wanted another effect entirely, barf or something like that. Like, let's say Sea of Thieves, they have a barf effect. You could puke on other players. It's goofy. You're probably going to want to create a whole nother material, and you're going to have to kind of reprogram, you know, kind of what I did here. So what you'll probably go ahead and do is you'll just like go ahead, you'll duplicate one of these, name it whatever. I'm just going to keep it the duplicate name. And then the only thing you'll have to do is go over to this and also just duplicate it and make it whatever you want to call it, you know, thing A, thing B, whatever. And then you're just going to want to make sure that you change that. And so what these are the channels for the lerp. The fade in and fade out are on a lerp. And without that fade in or fade out, or I guess if you have 2 effects on the same fade in and fade out, then they'll be combined, and you're probably not going to want that. If you get puked on, you probably don't want to see blood on your screen as well, you know what I mean? You probably just want to see the puke effect. So this is like the separation of concerns, where you just create another one of those and call it good. I'm going to go ahead and, oop, I didn't mean to do that. I guess I'm going to delete that effect anyways. So yeah, we don't need that. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. But yeah, you would create your own lerp. So you duplicate that and you would just reapply those effects. And that would be it. And then I guess if you want to plug it into the body cam, what you could do is you could add another enumeration type, and then simply, you know, by doing that, you go to the enums file, you go to splatter type, you hit the plus, add enumeration, you call it whatever you want it to be, and then you simply just go over to the component, and in the component you're going to see the code that allows this to run, and you'll see that there's a new pin, and then you simply just like do exactly this, create your own effect reference and play the effect, and that's that. So that's how you could build upon this. It's not very graceful, but again, it comes pre-packaged with everything you'd ever need anyways. Hopefully, I say that, but like, you know, that's not always the truth. You know, sometimes people want more out of it, and I get you. So that's why I covered that. And I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I clean that up. Yeah, I got rid of that. I'll just check my GitHub and make sure I don't push any changes. Yeah, that's about that. If you have any questions, the Discord is open. There should be a link in the description on the YouTube channel. Feel free to join it, ask questions, ping me. I might not respond immediately depending on time zone differences, but I do try to get to you guys. You know, I think it's important to like help, I guess. I like that. So that is the tutorial. Comes default package with blood, dirt, and water, and you can make any other effect you want. There's a lot you can play around with this. But I'm not gonna take up any more of your time. That's that. Yeah, thank you for watching, and see ya. Peace.